Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm using the Loads of Spring Honeybee stamp set, which I will explain later on what that's supposed to be used for. I'm also using the Horizon Slimline borders for some grass and the fence. And I'm using Waffle Flowers mini Slimline layers, and I'm using the second layer in. I actually cut two of these panels and then used the other panel for the to line up the fence and the grassy border so that they line up nicely on the back panel. I've also got some Distress Oxide tumbled glass and Mowed lawn, which I'm going to use for the grass and the sky in the background. So we're going to start with the tumbled glass. Oh god. And I've got my spellbinders. No, it's not spellbinders. Oh, this is going well. My waffle flower media mat, which I cut up. So if you want to check out that video as to why I did that, go for it. I will be very chuffed if you did. But I love it. It's so much easier for me and better for me. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm taking the tumbled glass Distress Oxide ink, and I start off the paper and then slowly move on to it because I want just a light blue, almost an ombre effect down this from the top down of the panel. I don't want it to be too intense. I just want that sort of springy blue sky kind of look. So I start off the off the panel and then move on to it, and it just gives a light bit of color on there, and that's it. That's our sky. I mean, that's really easy, right? And this is box standard cardstock. It's quite thin cardstock actually, but it's nice. You know me, I'll use anything. So I'm now taking the Mowed lawn ink, and I'm doing the same sort of thing, but I do want to get this more intense because I will get the main part of the whole piece covered, and then I will come in from the top and just ink a little bit more on the edge so that it's sort of slightly darker at the top and lighter at the bottom, just for a bit of, you know, added interest. I did actually totally forget to spritz these with water, but I think this still turned out really nice. So yeah, so I'm going to speed through most of the rest of this just to save a bit of time. But basically the next bit is just putting everything together. Obviously for me, I already stamped colored using some Copic markers. I used the eggs. There's the egg, there's a few different, there's the eggs, the carrots and the flowers. And I used the eggs, the bunnies, the basket and the bees. And we will stamp a sentiment as well. So to start with, I'm working out where I can put my fence. And this is where I did wonder whether I didn't have enough of that blue coming down because the fence is white and I didn't add anything to it. But it works out really nicely in the end, and you'll see how it actually, the white of the fence kind of comes to life once you add the colourful eggs, Easter eggs on there. So I have two of these that I cut out, and yes, the fence is about halfway up, but once you get your eggs on and your grass, it will look like it's supposed to. Just trust me on that one. So I'm just lining up the eggs, so make sure the grass is going to cover them, and then also that they're hanging off the edge slightly because they are bigger than the Slimline panel that I've got here, and then just deciding which way around I wanted to have them on there. So once they were stuck down, everything's stuck flat. There's I didn't use any dimension in this card at all. You could for the grass, say, and then tuck your bunnies behind it and that kind of thing, but there's enough space there. As long as you haven't got adhesive all the way to the top of the grass edge, you can still tuck things behind it. So that's just something to think about when you're doing these kind of cards. They don't have to be bulky, as in with lots of dimension. They can still look dimensional without that. So stuck my grass on there, and then this is where I was deciding where to put the bunnies' bums, and I think they're the cutest thing ever. And the little bunnies sticking out. I had to have one coming over the fence. I just had to. It just made sense. So going back to the stamp set, this stamp set is actually like an add-on stamp set to what Honeybee brought out a while ago now. It's taken me forever to actually get hold of it. Just because every time I go to get it, I'm like, oh, don't know. And I did. So there's lots of other add-ons, but basically it's for the big pickup there's a front and a back to the big pickup, and it's a stamp set, and obviously there's a coordinating die set. And so the back part of the big pickup is where in the tailgate, I think that's what's called, in basically the back of the truck, you can then add all these things like the eggs, and they're sized perfectly to fit in the back. There's, in this particular stamp set, there's the carrots, and then there's the flowers. So it's a spring Easter kind of themed add-on stamp set to go with it. And I just think it's the most adorable thing ever. And I have a thing about like pickup trucks, because my granddad used to have one, and I'm getting emotional. He used to have one, and it just reminded me of my childhood with him and in the back of the pickup on his farm. So I kind of had to get it. I just haven't got it until now. So I will bring you a video on that, on the actual pickup truck itself, using these. But I thought this would be a nice way to see that, to show you that you can use these sort of stamp sets, even though they're add-ons. Pickup trucks are not your thing, you can still use these add-on sets for other cards. They don't have to be used just with that, just with that set. So I decided to then go back to the card, all the little bees. I was so impressed that my machine cut this out because they're so tiny. And yeah, I was well impressed. So if you do have a scanning card, I would say make sure your outline stamped image is really clear. I think that's what helped with this, is that I stamped it twice so that I could get a really clear image of all the images I wanted to use, and that helps the scan in the machine pick up the images. And like I say, it cut out those teeny tiny little bees, and I was so impressed. So now I've just added some extra tape some tape to the back of the panel, and then just sticking it to a white card base. I think the card base, it's 3.5 by 6, I think is the mini Slimline. And then the baskets, I was going to put one, I had 2 of them, and I was going to put one on the front and one on the inside, but the one on the front didn't make sense, so I left that off. And then I also stamped a little sentiment made up with the words in the stamp set, hippity hoppity Easter. I mean, why not? So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and found another way to use add-on stamp sets and die sets, not just with what their intention is. So until next time, bye for now.